Welcome in, everybody. It's your boy Bryant here for the East Village Times. We are going to be talking about Aztec Softball in the Mountain West Tournament today. I hope everybody's having a good day so far. We are going to be doing as well way at the end of the Sorry about that real quick. So, Mountain West Tournament preview, San Diego State versus Boise State. We got the rest of the quarterfinals decisions made after the games today. New Mexico is going to be going up against San Jose State at 12 p.m. Tomorrow, Thursday. San Diego State will be then going at 2:30, 3 o'clock, depending on the ending time of the New Mexico game. Against Boise State, we'll be previewing that along with predictions for the tournament regarding games and matchups. After our game, there will be a little bit of a break, and then Nevada will be taking on Colorado State, who has been on fire. We'll talk a little bit about them later on. And then Utah State will be going up against UNLV in the nightcap of the Mountain West Tournament quarterfinals. First, we are going to be talking about San Diego State softball. San Diego State softball recently this weekend went up against Loyola Marymount, Sacramento State, and UCLA, going 2-1 in those games. Unfortunately, over the weekend, along with just one loss, that we had another loss, losing Bella Espinoza. It's to be determined right now. Haven't heard anything yet. Going to be trying to find that out here soon. But Bella Espinoza, her ankle, it seemed like maybe her foot as well, after fouling off a pitch on the inside of her foot. She was in a lot of pain, got taken out of the game against Sacramento State late in the game Saturday. After the game, when UCLA and Sacramento State were going up against each other, she was kind of off to the side, talking with coaches, kind of doing her batting stance and doing the normal way she swings. She seemed a little bit upset. She didn't seem happy, which to me meant that she was not going to be playing in the next game against UCLA, potentially even further out. Not playing in the weekend series they have against Utah State, starting the conference opener on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A little 3-game stretch there they have. But good weekend all in all for the Aztecs after 0-5 in Fullerton, after a couple heartbreakers down there. Callie Decker had a bad weekend actually this week. Besides the first game against Loyola Marymount, she kind of had a bad weekend besides that first game. It seemed like Bella Espinoza was starting to get back on track to what she usually is as a leadoff hitter before the injury. Julie Holcomb's been amazing so far out in the outfield, really good after losing Lala to that knee injury. Don't know the extent of that one either. They believe it might be torn, but they still are getting more tests to see. CC Solera had pitched really well against Sacramento State. Gracie Uribe pitched well against Sac State and Loyola Marymount, the game that she started. Didi Hernandez came in against Marymount, did a good job to end the game. And then Didi Hernandez went up against UCLA. She went 6 innings, giving up 4 runs. It was really just the one inning where she really kind of got hit hard a little bit around, but she was having them guessing. They were guessing. They were not having a good time at the plate against her with the way that she was moving her off-speed pitches, the way she was locating. She was getting some corner calls, so she was doing a really good job locating there, kind of making them struggle a little bit, keeping them off balance. Really good job by Didi. Then Ava Schafel came in the last inning against UCLA. Got a clean inning. I think Ava Schafel was going to be a star on the Mesa for years to come in the circle. Now, just a little bit of a preview here. San Diego State softball is going to be going into Logan, Utah, going up against Utah State for the Mountain West Conference opener for them. Utah State, good squad. I'm going to have a preview on that tomorrow night. Should be released tomorrow night. I will be doing that from Vegas because I will be at the tournament. So I'm going to try and get to that tomorrow night after San Diego State versus Boise. Now, on to San Diego State basketball. Going to talk a little bit about the rewards and everything that was given out. Obviously, we saw that Miles Bird and Nick Boyd were second team All Mountain West, which well-deserved for the both of them. Nick Boyd kind of struggled early on. He had a couple good games early on, but he kind of struggled for the most part. Then he really came into form, came into shape towards down the stretch of the regular season of the Mountain West was kind of the reason that this team was kind of staying afloat after the other person and second team with him, Miles Bird, kind of struggled a little bit in kind of the middle of the Mountain West games there because he started the Mountain West pretty well, doing really well, shooting well, and then he had a rough stretch of about 6, 7 games there during that time, and then he kind of ended well, especially with that last game against Nevada at home, having 5 assists, hit 2 threes, didn't shoot a ton of them, but he was just all over the place defensively. He was making really good passes, really good reads, was kind of just waiting to see what came to him and not really forcing the agenda, forcing the issue for him, which was really good to see, in my opinion, for Miles. And of course, the defensive player of the year and the freshman of the year in the Mountain West, Magoon Gwath. We all know, if you've been watching Aztec games, that we have been without Magoon since the Utah State game when he hurt his knee. He hyperextended it early in the first half. He is unreal, quite frankly, for those that have been watching. He's an unreal shot blocker. The way he alters shots, even if he doesn't block them, just the way he's able to alter them and force them to miss. He's done a lot better, I think, down the stretch because early on he's been getting blocks, but he was kind of taking himself out of position and kind of leaving whatever big was in with him kind of in no man's land to grab a rebound, like a Farrell Compton or a JCJ or a Heidi. He kind of took himself out of place for going for blocks or even getting some blocks, kind of leaving open opportunities instead of just leaving his arms up there. Getting his arms straight up with how lengthy he is, how tall he is. He can affect shots that way, and he's been doing that amazingly in conference play before the injury. So I think it's well-deserved that he gets Defensive Player of the Year. Also well-deserved that he gets Freshman of the Year. Really don't think there was anybody that could compete with him in that award for Freshman of the Year. I just think he had too great of a year, in my opinion, for anybody else to be winning that award. So I think it's well-deserved for Magoon Gwath. Saw him on Sunday at the Novo event. For those of you that have worked with Mesa or donate to Mesa Foundation, they had an event at Novo in San Diego around Fashion Valley area. And he was there. He was talking to people. He was kind of staying off his knee a little bit. Dutcher was kind of making sure that he was staying off his knee, made sure he had his knee brace. Talking to people there, talking to me, it seemed like his knee feels good. He just has to get back into game shape. Says he's really excited to get back on the floor. He just doesn't know when he's going to get back on the floor, obviously, depending on how he feels. Obviously, we know when Dutch was talking to the media yesterday, he was saying that Magoon's day-to-day, because he probably practiced yesterday, probably not in full, probably did a couple drills, probably wasn't in doing scrimmages and everything like that, and then they practiced today. So we don't know how he practiced today. We don't know how that feels. We should get a ruling on whether he will be in the game or not, active in the morning would be my guess, in the morning of the game. You'll probably get a tweet from John Rothstein, would be my guess, whether he's in or not. If it were me personally, I would bench him and not start him and not play him because I do think it's important for him to heal up. We're going to need him if we make the March Madness tournament, which we'll get to that in a minute here after we do our predictions for the Mountain West Conference tourney. Other key players, things to talk about is Nick Boyd not winning Newcomer of the Year. I thought he should have won Newcomer of the Year, especially the way he played down the stretch. Now, I get it. Wyoming's, I'm going to butcher this last name, Ogjimi. I don't know how to say that last name, quite frankly. That's my fault. But he did really well for Wyoming, averaging 17 points. But I think Nick Boyd, just the way he is as a floor general, he was still scoring points and getting assists at the same time. Had a really high assist to turnover ratio. I think it was above 5 in conference play. I might be wrong on that, but I believe it was above 5 in conference play. And I feel like he kind of deserved that award. And he did say in his press conference when talking to the media yesterday that he kind of has a chip on his shoulder after not winning that award because he thought he deserved it. I thought he deserved it as well, and he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder going into the Mountain West tournament, which I think is big for San Diego State and for the Aztecs. A couple other key guys to look out for that I think are going to be huge in the tournament for us if we are going to make a run in the Mountain West tournament and go to the championship game. Taj DeGorville, I think, is a big key to this team off the bench, especially against Boise without Magoon. We're going to need a ball handler in there, another one. We might go small, so he might be needed in the rebounding area. So he's a key to look out for. Obviously, the bigs are big when it comes to producing without Magoon, especially defensively, because we know Magoon brings that shot blocking ability, able to affect the games, affect the rim. We know how much Boise has been loving to attack the basket lately. They've gotten over 20 free throws in their last 4 games, which just shows how much they've been attacking the basket, haven't really been settling for threes. So they're going to do that a lot tomorrow, I think, and it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be fun. Now on to some game predictions, talking about some of the games tomorrow before we preview San Diego State versus Boise State. First, we're going to start off with New Mexico versus San Jose State. New Mexico, no line on the game yet. I would say New Mexico is probably going to be favored by about 12.5, 13 on the spread. New Mexico should look to win this game, blow out San Jose State. They did lose earlier this year at San Jose State. So San Jose State has shown that they can beat the Lobos, but I just don't think they can. They would have to get hot from 3. Now, if they get hot from 3 and they start hitting threes and they're hitting about 40% or more from 3, then it might get scary for the Lobos there. But I believe the Lobos are going to take them down. Donovan Dent is dominant. He's a really good player, in my opinion. Really good player, really talented. Gets after it. Probably, in my opinion, should be an All-American. I think he should be an All-American. I do think he's that good, and he showed that he's that good. So him, Nelly Jr. Joseph, another player who made the All-Defensive team as well, which True Washington wasn't too happy with the All-Defensive team with Miles Bird making it over him. So maybe there is some bad blood there if the Aztecs do pull it out against Boise and the Lobos do take care of business versus San Jose State. Maybe some bad blood on the court. Some things to prove, both not only for Nick Boyd, but on the New Mexico side, True Washington, showing that he is a better defender and is one of the best defenders in the league. So that might be something to look out for there in a matchup against New Mexico in the semis if the Aztecs are able to handle business and take care of Boise for a 3rd time this year. My score prediction for New Mexico San Jose State, I would put it at New Mexico 78, San Jose State 64, 62. I do think it's going to be a double-digit win for the Lobos. I do think they're going to take care of business. They're going to handle business. I think they're going to do it early on, too, so that way they can rest some of their guys. They don't have to play Donovan Dent 30-plus minutes in the game. They can rest him, kind of rest his legs. Obviously, Aztec fans hoping for San Jose State to take him to the brink so that way they can play those starters, and they have to play those starters a bunch of minutes. Now, the game after our game, we will be talking about Nevada versus Colorado State. Colorado State has been on fire. Per Bart Torvik, they are a top 10 team in the nation. In the last 2 months, they have been blazing on fire. Even in those 2 months, San Diego State did split the season series with them, both home teams winning in that one. And Nick Clifford, who did not win Mountain West Player of the Year. I do think Donovan Dent did deserve it, so I'm not going to say that Clifford should have won, but Clifford did have a case. He's going to be a first-round NBA draft pick. He's going to get drafted this summer. There's no doubt in my mind about it. The way that he is able to attack the basket, score from all 3 levels, how hard he defends, he rebounds. He really is a top player in the country and is a huge part of why Colorado State has been on this run lately. Ever since that game against us on the road when they came to the AOS and Miles Bird kind of dominated in that matchup and he didn't really do anything, he kind of turned it up. He turned it up a little bit, and which is why Colorado State themselves have turned up the dial. So I do think that Colorado State is going to handle business here against Nevada. Do think if I have to do a score prediction here, Nevada, I would say puts up about 64, and Colorado State puts up 72. 70. Do think it's going to be close because I do think Nevada does have a talented team. They just have to mesh. They just have to gel and be playing team ball together. Nick Davidson is going to be a key part of that, in my opinion. If Nick Davidson is on fire and he is able to score at will against Colorado State, where they don't really have the bigs to guard him. Clifford could guard him because of Clifford's length, but he's just a little bit smaller. So Davidson's stronger, so we could back him down in the post. Obviously, along with Nick Davidson, they have the Wyoming transfer, Fresno State transfer, been all around the Mountain West. Xavier Ducell, he is a three-point sniper, so he can get hot. He can hit some threes. If Xavier Ducell gets hot and hits about 4 threes in the game, could be dangerous for Colorado State. Really dangerous for them, along with Kobe Saunders, obviously, who we just saw at the AHOS. He kind of struggled a little bit. But Kobe Saunders is more than capable of having a great game and getting on fire. They do have 3 guys there that are more than capable of getting on fire and taking over. But I do think Colorado State with Lake, with Clifford, with their solid big play, not great big play, solid big play, but it's mainly from their guards where they can attack the basket, shoot well from 3, so that way they can spread it out and Clifford can kind of go to work and attack and get in that mid-range area, attack the basket, try and draw fouls. So I do think Colorado State handles that one for about 6-point, 8-point win, be my guess, which moved them on to the semis. Now this one, Utah State, UNLV. UNLV obviously took care of business against us. First time since 2012. They've swept the Aztecs, and it really does depend which UNLV team you do get. In Vegas. Obviously, they're at home. They got home court advantage, but that really never seems to matter when it comes to the Mountain West tournament teams. If you're talking about Utah State, San Diego State, or New Mexico, fans travel really well there, and they kind of take over the arena when they are playing. So I do think Utah State fans are going to travel well. The student section is going to travel well. They could affect the game. I do think this is going to be a close one. I don't want to pick an upset here because I do think Utah State does pull it out, but I do think Utah State has been getting lucky. Actually, I changed my mind. UNLV, I think, is going to upset Utah State here and pull it out, and Utah State's going to be out of the Mountain West tournament in the quarterfinal, living on the edge, living on the bubble, going to be worried. Hopefully there's no bid stealers, and the bid stealers we have would be in this conference, and one of them would be making the Mountain West championship game in my prediction here. With UNLV taking down Utah State. Now we move on to the semis that I have, New Mexico versus San Diego State. Actually, let's preview the San Diego State game first. Didn't preview that yet, but I do think San Diego State pulls it out. San Diego State, Boise State, this is going to be a battle, folks. If you are an Aztec fan or a Bronco fan or just a basketball fan in general and you just want to watch the Mountain West and you're going to be watching this game, it's going to be a heavyweight battle. San Diego State has taken the first 2 matchups against Boise State. And like they all say, it's harder to beat a team 3 times. So going into this game, San Diego State obviously seems to have had the formula to take down the Broncos both on the road and at home. I do think the Broncos are going to adjust. They're going to adjust. They might run a little bit of a smaller lineup out there with Carmichael, the freshman that they had originally redshirting, but he has been really good for them both defensively and offensively. The way he shoots the ball, he is a shooter you cannot leave open. You leave him open, it's going down. It's going to go in. Really good shooter. You can't leave him open. Obviously, we know about Tyson Degenhart, Mountain West mainstay, been at Boise State all 4 years. Really great player. Definitely one of the top Mountain West players in the history of the conference, just in terms of how long he's been here, the mainstay that he is in Boise, Idaho, on the campus of Boise State. And he is going to do a good job, in my opinion. But I think the real person we need to focus on when it comes to kind of taking away their ability to impact the game at multiple levels is Cardenas. I thought we did a really good job of that in our last game against Boise State, kind of taking away his passing ability. Because that's what makes him so dangerous, in my opinion, is when he's able to attack, when he's able to drive and kick, when he's able to find open guys. That's when Cardenas is at his scariest and at his most dangerous, and is when he is able to spread the love around the floor, while also putting in some points himself. His best games aren't going to be when he drops 20 plus points. His best games are going to be when he's dropping 14 points, but he's got 6 assists, 7 assists with only 1 turnover. He impacts the games at multiple levels. I think taking care of him and making sure he doesn't impact the game at a passing level, and he has to impact the game scoring the ball. If we make him a primary scorer and not a primary first passer, I think that bodes well for the Aztecs. In my opinion, on the Aztec side of the ball, in terms of who has to step up, I talked about Tajli Gorva already. I think he has to be huge in this game. We talked about the bigs, but Miles Bird needs to show people why Aztec fans think he could and should be an NBA draft pick either this year or next year. He is kind of playing for him, not only for the team, but he's also playing himself into an NBA draft pick this year if he does want to make the NBA this year before inevitably going into the draft next year. He has to play himself into that, and I think playing himself into that would mean him having an outstanding March and leading us on a great run, not only in our conference tournament, but in our NCAA tournament at the big dance. If we make a big run here, I believe we will make it in. So Miles Bird needs to come out here. He needs to have a game similar to how we did against Nevada, where he's not looking for his shot; he's letting it come to him. He's not forcing. It's more natural. He's spreading the ball around. He's relocating. He's cutting. He's rebounding, impacting the floor defensively like he always does, which is why he was on the all defensive team. If he's doing that and he's not hunting his shot and he's more being patient and letting it come to him, I think that's a dangerous Miles Bird that this conference does not want to see in Vegas. Along with Miles Bird, every guard is important here. Everybody needs to play a great game. Nobody can have a bad game against Boise State because Boise State's going to be coming for blood. So BJ, Nick Boyd, if Kimo Ferrari gets in, if he plays limited minutes, if DeMarsha gets in and plays some minutes due to foul trouble from our bigs, it is going to be huge for these guys to be locked in on the defensive end and spread the ball around, spread the love around, make sure we're relocating. If there's a back cut, make sure we're back cutting, make sure we're being verbal, we're communicating. I think it's huge. I do believe we do pull this one out. It's going to be a close one, though. I think it's going to be about 64-61. It's going to be a close game. So if you're expecting either side, if you're a Broncos fan or an Aztec fan, if you're expecting one of your teams to be blowing the other team out, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to. It's going to be a close game. Your heart's going to be beating out of your chest. You're going to be pacing if you're at home. If you're in the stands in Vegas, you're going to be having a tough time, probably yelling at the officials, getting nervous, getting worried. But it's going to be a close game. But I do think the Aztecs do pull this one out onto the semifinals. Prediction here, I do have the Aztecs beating New Mexico in the semifinal. Quick little stat for you guys. In the second game since the new tournament format, the Aztecs outscare their opponent in the semifinals by 12.5 points. So just going off of numbers here, that means the Aztecs are going to beat New Mexico and beat them probably not handily, in my opinion. It'll probably be about an 8-point game, 7-point game. But I do think the Aztecs are going to win and go to the championship game. Obviously, we saw how we beat them here at the AHOS. We made sure Nelly Jr. Joseph wasn't dominating the game points-wise and getting offensive rebounds and putbacks. Obviously, he got a lot of rebounds because that's what he does, but we kind of limited him to how he scores. The only points he scored were off of free throws. Donovan Dent had a huge game for them. Donovan Dent did have a huge game. Amzo did play, but he was hurt Their freshman big hit a couple threes and came in for them. So a couple of people did contribute along with True Washington. He didn't contribute for them. He had a bad game, which is kind of surprising to me because True Washington has been really good for the Lobos this year. And another big part of why they've been so good is him defensively and offensively. So I think the game plan should stay the same. Let Donovan Dent get his. Let Donovan Dent get his. If Donovan Dent scores 26 on you, 20 plus on you, but Nelly Jr. Joseph and True Washington are both held under 8 points in that game, that's a win. That should be a win, hypothetically. Obviously, Nelly Jr. Joseph is going to dominate the boards. He's a really talented rebounder, the best rebounder, in my opinion, in the conference. Really hard to get in front of him. He's very talented at getting out of box outs and positioning himself properly. So he's going to dominate the boards. You just have to make sure he doesn't dominate inside as well. That's a big key, in my opinion, when you face New Mexico, is making sure they don't dominate inside and you match their physicality, because Aztecs are always physical, but New Mexico, they've kind of matched our physicality and even gone above our physicality, which is why we've kind of struggled with them in the past year or so. Now, on to my prediction of Colorado State facing off against UNLV. I do believe Colorado State walks this one easy. I think it's a blowout. I think Colorado State easily walks into the championship here, which is a bid stealer, which if you're a team on the bubble, you do not want to see Colorado State make the tournament final. You don't want to see Boise State make the tournament final. If you have Boise State versus Colorado State, that's two bid stealers. And if you're a bubble team, that's a locked-in bid stealer right there. I think Colorado State handles UNLV. Just don't think UNLV is going to be able to cool down Nick Clifford or Jalen Lake or any of their guards. I think Colorado State handles them. I know the UNLV's got a couple athletic bigs, which could neutralize Colorado State in the paint. But I think Colorado State takes care of business here, going up against the Rebels, which leaves me to a San Diego State versus Colorado State championship game, another championship game. I think that would be 9 years in a row now by Brian Dutcher making a championship game. Could be wrong. Unfortunately, in my prediction, I do have Colorado State winning the Mountain West tournament. I do believe that Colorado State has just been way too hot lately. They've been on fire. I think they're a buzzsaw in the Mountain West tournament, and people are just going to be running into a buzzsaw when they face Colorado State. I do really think that. I do think it's going to be a game, though. It's going to be a close loss, probably about 64-60 would be my guess. Colorado State win. It's going to be close. Unfortunately, another loss in the tournament game, back-to-back years for the Aztecs, it would be. But Colorado State they've been on fire, man. They've been everywhere. They have done a really good job shooting from three, a really good job rebounding, good job defensively. They have just purely been on fire, and I just don't think a team right now in the Mountain West is going to be able to take care of that. Now, it is possible that one of San Diego State and New Mexico does take care of it, because obviously the Aztecs have a very talented team, especially if they have Magoon Guath back for that game. And New Mexico obviously won the Mountain West regular season. We saw how great they were and how good they can be. So definitely not out of nowhere for San Diego State or even Boise State or New Mexico to handle Colorado State getting a championship game. But I think on that side of the bracket, Colorado State's going to walk into the championship game. I think it's going to be a cakewalk for them. I don't think Utah State, quite frankly, is an NCAA tournament caliber team. I think Utah State, even though we got swept by them, they got kind of lucky this year. They've had a lot of luck when it comes to winning games. And I think that luck is starting to pumpkin a little bit. They're starting to pumpkin a little and showing how good of a team they truly are. So I do think that Utah State is going to be taken care of. Even if they don't lose to UNLV, I do think Colorado State is going to handle them in the semifinal if Utah State takes care of UNLV. Now, obviously, San Diego State, we know they've been to 8 straight conference championships now. And if you're an Aztec fan, It's amazing, quite frankly. It's been amazing to watch. It's been fun. I think I've been to all of them in the last 8 years, besides the COVID year in 2021. So it's been fun. It's been fun. If you're an Aztec fan making it to the championship game, now I believe we're 3-5 in those championship games. So that's not fun. But we have made it to 8 straight, and this could be the year potentially that we do not make it to the championship game because obviously, if you've watched San Diego State basketball this year, this team is very hot and cold. You can get a hot San Diego State team that just beats New Mexico and beats Boise State both games. You can get the first half Utah State at home, San Diego State. You can get the team that went up against Colorado State at home. You can get those teams, or you can get San Diego State versus UNLV, San Diego State on the road versus New Mexico, San Diego State on the road against Wyoming, where they struggled a little bit. San Diego State on the road against Air Force, where they struggled, even though they won. Even though they won those games, they struggled. They shouldn't struggle against those teams because those teams are at the bottom of the league. Both those teams are in the quarterfinal because they lost. So it just depends what team you get. I believe that Coach Dutcher and the staff are going to have this team ready. I do think this team is ready. I think Nick Boyd as a leader, Miles Bird as a leader, Jared Coleman-Jones, those three being the veterans on the roster, along with DeMarche, along with Chemo. Even though DeMarche Jr. hasn't gotten a lot of playing time, he is a veteran on this roster. Chemo Ferrari got a lot of playing time up at Brown before transferring to San Diego State. So he's been in a lot of these big games and conference tournaments in the Ivy League. He's been in those games. So I think these veterans are kind of rally the young guys, the Taj, the Pharaohs, the BJs, the Heidi. If Magoon plays, Magoon as well. I think they're going to rally these guys and kind of bring them together, and I think they're going to play together. They're going to play well. I do think they make the championship game. Would not be surprising to me if they lost tomorrow. But this team is talented, man. We see it all the time. They're really talented. When they play together and they're being being selfless, sharing the ball, back cutting, the way our tenacious defensive intensity is, how tenacious it is. I forgot about Wayne McKinney, another veteran who has been in these games in San Diego, hasn't made a March Madness tournament yet. I don't think he's been at the big dance at San Diego. But Wayne McKinney, another veteran on this roster that I think is key to taking care of business here in Vegas. Now, after that, we have a couple giveaways. I will be contacting these people, letting them know that they have won the giveaway. I will be DMing you on my EVT Bryant account, on my Twitter account. So make sure your DMs are open. 2 of you will be winning the giveaways. I will be naming those 2 people right now, real quickly. Let's see what we got here. So the first giveaway I'm going to be doing today is going to be the Miles Bird signed photo. Miles Bird signed photo is going to be going to, my phone is able to load the random generator. Give me 1 second. The Miles Bird random photo will be going to, drum roll please, Red Thy Color. Red Thy Color. I will be DMing you and letting you know that you have won the Miles Bird signed photo. Now, for the next part of our giveaway, the second giveaway, I will be giving away an item from the San Diego State Aztec NIL store. Any item of your choice, could be a jacket, could be a shirt, could be shorts, anything on the Aztec NIL store. I will be purchasing it and I will be shipping it to you as part of the giveaway. Now, for our second giveaway winner, it will be Good Zibes, the Magoon Commander, you have won our second giveaway. Thank you for all the people that did join in the giveaway. In the future, I will be doing more giveaways as well on live streams. We do Padres giveaways. We'll be doing more San Diego State giveaways as we get closer to the football spring practice. I will do one of those special spring practice giveaway. Just make sure you check out my Twitter and everything and be on the lookout for that. Other than that, it's been fun talking to you all. For everybody that's been on the live stream, San Diego State heading to the Mountain West Conference tournament tomorrow to take on Boise State. Before I go, in about 25 minutes, San Diego State women's basketball on CBS Sports Network will be taking on the Wyoming Cowgirls in a chance to battle for a bid to the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Their big dance, the Aztecs under Stacey Terry Hudson. I've had now 3 straight 20-plus win seasons, and they are hoping to clinch a berth into the big dance and into March Madness. So go tune into that in 25 minutes after I end this live stream. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, whether you're watching live or if you're watching later in the future. Thank you for coming in. Hope everybody has a great night, has a great weekend watching the Mountain West tournament. Have a good night, everybody.